country, hoping in particular to bring in those who had opposed the Constitution and sort of cement them into the Union. So the Bill of Rights was in some ways a harmonizing document. Today, as we've discussed, the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, at least parts of the Fourth, and the Fifth, and the Eighth and the Ninth, and 10th are subject to lots of disagreement, acute disagreement in our country. I'm just curious to hear from the three judges tonight. To what degree should we celebrate that disagreement over the text of the Bill of Rights, or to what degree is that disagreement, that acute disagreement, a cause of concern?
Well, I think we start with, I think Madison's purpose was achieved, because I think almost all Americans, whether they can cite for the Bill of Rights or not, have a fundamental concept that they have rights over against their government, right? That the government cannot define all of their activities, all of their existence. That's fundamental. So in that sense, I think Madison won. Now, the contours of those rights, those are difficult issues, and they'll be with us forever. The difference let's remember that the first, it's not an amendment. It was in the structure of the Constitution. The most basic right is the right of the majority to decide the society by which they will live. That we, the people, get to make the rules, not a king, not a priest, not a religious figure, but we, the people, get to decide the rules by which our society lives. That, in many ways, is the most fundamental right. What the Bill of Rights tells us is there are limits to that right. There are limits to the ability of the majority to set the rules, and that's where the debate is. But I don't think I welcome that debate, because these are tough questions. But I think the big picture is that we understand that there are fundamental rights. The framers saw those rights as inherent in nature and in nature's God. They thought these were God-given rights. You don't need to be a theist to believe that. The secularists, you can believe that these are inherent in human beings, but they do exist. And our quest as a people is to find out the limits of majority rule and the extent of liberty under the Constitution. I think it's a dynamic enterprise. I think it's a healthy debate that's going on, but I think Madison won.
I think it's a celebration every day. Nowhere in the Constitution or the Bill of Rights or any of the other amendments will you find the phrase presumption of innocence. But that is a bedrock, absolute bedrock of our criminal justice system, and has been from the beginning. So part of what the Bill of Rights did was to frame the discussion, to lay a foundation for an inclusive constitutional democracy. And we know that the text will not provide answers to all the questions. And so I celebrate those disagreements and that ongoing dialogue that I alluded to before, because I think we make a more perfect union every time there's a disagreement that gets worked out in a civil and respectful way.